Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 8. That's right, 8. I'm almost running out of, that would be 9, running out of fingers for the numbers over here. Episode 8 of Your Personal Record, the show where I, Adam Realman, talk to guests about music and about record collecting. Now, today we've got, this is a fantastic guest right over here because we're going to sort of shift gears a little bit. We're certainly going to talk about records, but I hope we're also going to talk about coffee. And that's because our guest over here is the proprietor of one of my favorite spots in Brooklyn for both coffee and records. That would be Black Gold in Brooklyn. And this would be Jeff Ogiba. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, right on, right on. So, I mean, there's so many questions here. Now, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I walk into Black Gold is the aroma. Now, a record store has a very distinct aroma. That it's almost like a musty used record smell. But then you walk into Black Gold and it's like, oh my God, this coffee smells incredible. So I want to know about how Black Gold started.
Black Gold started about 11 years ago almost was when the idea was born, essentially. I had been working at a store that I had bought a share of in New Jersey for several years, and then I took a bit of a break to go back to doing graphic design. I was unhappy. Everybody said, "You're crazy. You're really good at buying and selling records. You love it. You got the passion. Just do it again." So I was like, all right, I'm either going to go big or go home. I was like, if I'm doing it, I'm going to New York. That's it. I took a break from my, I took a couple of days off from work and I went out on a rooftop in my buddy's apartment in the Lower East Side. And I just looked out and I was like, all right, here we go. I'm doing this. I had a great night. I just felt it. It was calling me. So I hit up one of my buddies. He had been talking about doing it. And his wife was in the hospitality business, service, industry, the whole thing. And she wanted to open a coffee shop. And I was itching to do records. We said, well, it's a little tougher to do it in the city. If we put our heads together and make it a really strange destination and, unique spot. And I think we actually talked about it around her wedding, which was in like October or November. And then the doors, we had signed the lease in February the next year already. And we had like a whole list of plans and a team of people ready to help us make it happen. We didn't get open until May, which was expensive, but we did it right. And knock wood, it's still rolling.
It's a great shop. So now, I first thing we'll deal with the coffee, and then do you roast your own coffee?
We have a private roaster right in Red Hook that does it for us.
Okay.
It's a handful to do. I've thought about doing it ourselves. I really love the relationship we have with the people that are doing it for us, and it's local, and it's they've been around for a long time. It's just it's a good partnership.
That's great. And the coffee it's like a delicious mild roast. I like a medium. Like I would call it's a medium roast, but it's very, very flavorful.
Thank you.
I mean, anytime that I'm in, it's first digging for records, then getting a cup of coffee because it's hard to do with one hand.
Yeah.
You understand? I don't want to spill on the records. And
well, fun fact, 11 years almost, there have been 2 spills in 11 years. That's not bad.
No, that's and so when someone spills, I mean, do you just like throw them out? You're like, all right, listen, you can't do this. Like, just get out.
Usually they're extremely apologetic. The crazy thing is, it's got to be some kind of mathematical equation to this or some science, but both spills were in extremely important spots in the store. The one was on the new arrivals and it destroyed an entire collection we just got. And the second one was in a section that we called our high-end section that I don't think we even have right now, but it was, a few years ago, we'd have a couple back-to-back columns of records, rows of records, and that got wiped out. And those start at like $30 a piece. So it was a little expensive.
Yeah.
Nobody ever volunteers to pay for it, but
Of course. I mean,
what are you gonna do?
an entire bin of high end records, even even a $10 record. You're talking about a few $100 right there. So that's ouch,
But we
ouch.
knew what we were getting into. We knew that a lot of people ask, you sell these valuable, delicate paper, covered products, and then you have coffee that's hot and flying all over the store.
Right.
So, I mean, two in 11 years is pretty good.
I know the numbers are certainly in your favor. I mean, you can't go wrong. Now, in addition to the records, there is an assemblage of antiques and ephemera, and you've got, I think, a sideshow banner out there.
Sure.
Some odd taxidermy stuff, and all that's for sale.
Everything's for sale, essentially. If it's not for sale, it just means that we haven't figured out what it is yet. But that's rare, you
Right,
know.
right.
Which means, we didn't do the research, or we haven't concluded our research. We don't have a price, and it gets a little annoying. But I don't have much storage, so that's the way it is
Right.
sometimes.
Right. I mean, it's a very compact store. I mean, you jam so much into it in the space that you have. I mean, it's a full coffee bar with pastries and whatnot, and a full record store in a little tiny space. And then there's a little seating area as well. I don't know if they're using that now because of COVID or whatever, but you can sit outside. And speaking of COVID, you were the only record shop that was open for a long while during COVID because of the coffee.
Yeah, we never
And
closed.
what was that?
We never closed.
Yeah, exactly. And I would go down there just to get that fix it of looking at records. And it's only game in town. This is the only shop that was open for a nice period of months during the COVID time. I mean, we're talking during the height of COVID, like
Yeah.
spring and early, about a year ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would have an apartment right around the corner, and I would come out to the shop, and there would be nothing open on any block in either direction. So it was creepy.
Yeah.
We were lucky to be able to be open. I was shocked at how many people actually tiptoed in there and safely did what they had to do. But yeah, we got very, very fortunate with that situation. I mean, I don't think we would be open if we weren't allowed to be open at that time.
Yeah. I mean, just speaking from someone who just needed to get that fix. Glad you were open. So Wes, so tell me a little about well, let's take a look at your collection in back here. This is only a section of your collection right there.
Yeah.
And what do you primarily collect?
Well, this section here, you can't see. It goes like another sec. It goes a little further. This is supposed to be rock, like A through Z. And what happened was I I thought I had less records, I guess, to do the rock part. And so it's really rock A through like J or something on the floor. And then the my computer right now is sitting on a box that's, I think, the letter R, and then it's sprawled out everywhere around here. And then across the way, I have my turntables with my hip hop and boogie and funk and soul and disco, and then I have a whole entire jazz section on the back wall over here. There's outsider, weirdo, oddball records. There's a big section that I enjoy, and blues, and I have a large folk section, if I didn't already say that. And that's pretty much what goes on. And there's about 20 boxes on the floor right now that I just haven't filed, or I'm like, I don't know where to file it. And it's driving me crazy.
So I mean,
I'm a
when
little
you
bit
say
obsessed.
don't know how to file it, is that because it's just this like sort of hybrid genre? I mean, you're grouping according to genre. You got rock, you got soul over here, you got hip hop over there, oddball somewhere else. The stuff that you still have that you just can't figure out. What is it?
Yeah, for example, I don't know, like maybe even some of the stuff like an outsider rock and roll record. Like, do I put it in the section with the weirdo? Am I in the mood for that, or does it actually earn a spot next to Rolling Stones? It's like it gets tough. I might forget it in one spot where I know exactly where it is in the other. It's just a nightmare. Like, records are a nightmare. I love them, but I swear.
it's, I mean, this is why, and I love talking about how people file their records, because everyone's got a different methodology of putting them in whatever order it is. And, for the most part, I'm sticking here. This is, aside from an area down, back off camera, it's all together, but there's a little, the soundtracks are back here and the country is back here too. And everything else is, just so like the Cerrone album that I picked up at Black Gold a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that's still in the new arrivals section. So before it gets filed, but that's, disco. I mean, maybe you want to classify it as electronic,
Yeah.
but that goes just in this section here. But yeah, I missed out on Cerrone 4. I understand you had that, and yeah, I some reason just recently I got turned on to Cerrone, and he's a French or Italian, like
Italian.
Italian disco producer. And the Cerrone 4, the one where he's like in the hospital with like these pig men on the floor, and there's a carcass on a gurney in back of him, and he's just kind of standing there. And I had seen this album for years and years, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I mean, to me, it just looked like a guy from Brooklyn, just standing around like, bell bottom pants. And I mean, maybe a couple of months ago, I had put it on. I think someone might have posted that album in a vinyl group that I'm, on Facebook. And I'm like, I've seen this for 30 years as I dig through records. I've never bothered with it. And I popped it on YouTube, and I'm like, holy cow, this is great. And so I picked up, I think it was Cerrone. Maybe it's either 3 or 5, but 4 is the one I'm looking for, with the hospital and the pigman and the
Or that's the hit, right? It's like Supernatural. Is that the
super.
one?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's basically his like take on Thriller. I think it came out like a year after Thriller, and it has like kind of like a,
Yep.
like a Monster Mash meets Thriller, and it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. What a song. I mean, holy cow.
yeah,
It's genius. I mean, his stuff is, what I guess there's a whole genre, Italian disco.
yeah.
Um,
That the cover is kind of like a butchered baby Beatles cover meets like I don't know, like Three Dog Night or something. It's
right.
like really strange.
I mean, yeah, the cover is just ridiculous, but it's a great song and but I missed out on it. When the guy was ringing me up, the cashier was ringing me up. He says, "Oh, we had another Cerrone." I said, "Which one, Cerrone? The one with the hospital on the cover?" And he's like, "Yeah, someone bought it like 2 days ago." And I'm like, "Ah, all right, well,
Yeah, well, you know what? It's gonna be back.
what comes around
It's gonna
goes around."
find you. You don't have to
Exactly.
worry.
Exactly. Isn't it amazing the way that happens? You look for something and then you just totally forget about it, and then there it is. You
Yeah.
know. Now, and another interesting find that I grabbed at Black Gold were these. Now, again, another band that a few years back, I didn't know growing up. They're a new wave band, and found one of their albums. I bought it on a total lark. It's like, cool cover. Let me pick it up and put it on, and it was great. It was kind of like this new wave, dark wave, and couple of weeks later, what do I find at Black Gold but autographed copies of Classix Nouveau?
Nice.
Yeah, so this one's got the gatefold. The autographs are all on the inside. This one here, the autographs are on the front. It's kind of hard to read because they were in ballpoint, but that was a score. It's like, yeah.
Oh, I remember where we got those too. That's funny. How long ago did you get those?
Let's see. There's no data. This has got to be
2 years ago?
2-3 years ago.
Yeah, okay. So I could tell you exactly where those came from
All
if you
right.
want
Well, I
to
want to
know.
hear the story behind
What?
these autographed Classic Nouveaux,
Okay,
because
so
because
I
then you're
got
going to give me a certificate of authenticity.
I'll give you the guy's phone number I got it from, and he'll call you all the time. And when you hear the story, you'll wish I didn't. Um, so yeah, we got a call from a gentleman who, I don't know if he was hard of hearing, but he yelled on the phone to the point where we laughed every time he called. We're like, all right, we're coming to get the records. So I believe he was in Chinatown, and we went there to get the records. And his brother was a big disco and new wave guy. And we walk into the bedroom where the records are ready to be shown, and it's like every new wave record you can think of, some disco hits. And then he says, also, I don't know if you want these, but you could just have them. And it's a stack of just autograph stuff. And so I have some real exciting ones. I have the Spandau Ballet record. I have the Frankie Goes to Hollywood record from this collection.
Autographed.
We still have a bunch of Annie Lennox and Eurythmics stuff, all autographed. What else? There's all kinds of crazy stuff. But anyway, yeah, this guy, we went in there, he'd come back in the room, hey, Jeff, hey, Mike, just screaming at us. We're like, yeah, okay, we're going to buy this stuff. Then we made him a deal, and he told us it was too much money, and he gave us an even better deal. He was a great guy.
Wow.
My head hurt when I got out of there. But that's where those came from,
Well,
especially the ballpoint, because I remember those.
yeah, it was kind of a little hard to read, but I mean, the autographs are certainly on those records. Well, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, when you're buying stuff for the shop, is it more people finding you and touching base with you, or are you really aggressive in going out and doing digs, all over the place?
I'm the least aggressive person in the business, I swear. And it's my problem. I have so much going on. I have so many hobbies. I have a family. We just got the house. I'm just, I kick myself for it all the time. But now I'm taking it a little more seriously, especially since we survived everything that happened. And I'm like, thank God we're like still a business. I should start calling these people back. Like, I've been terrible. But a lot of people just reach out to us. Most people reach out to us. I'm not really trying that hard. I get really stressed out. And if I go to like estate sales, which I do anyway, there's dudes like choking each other at these things. I don't want to have anything to do with the stressful part. The records are going to come to us. When they come to us, we're going to give you the best deal we can, and we're going to move them on to somebody else for a little bit more so that we can keep the bills paid. That's about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, so I've seen these people at the estate sales, and these guys are ruthless. I mean, they'll knock you. I'm a big guy. They're pushing and shit. It's, come on, dude. But
yeah, I had a guy. We went down the shore once in Jersey, and I got there real early. It's supposed to be 5,000 country, western, and rock and roll 45s. So I show up, and another guy showed up, and he looked like Steven Seagal, looked like a gray ponytail. He was just like, and he was like ready to kill me. He was like, I hope we're not here for the same reason, man. Just like grilling me. And I was like, well, okay.
All right, I'll go over to the Wonder Bar now, and
yeah,
got to do, buddy.
So yeah, I try to stay out of the stressful stuff. I don't see a big future in acting that way. I already feel like exhausted all the time. I can't imagine, being, in my 50s and 60s and then still doing this and being like having a heart attack at somebody's front door because 3 people are ahead of me in line. You know what I mean? Like, I can't, I'm not built for it.
It's just not, right. It's just not your thing. I mean, the one collection that I was like and I'm not a dealer, I don't sell. I have trouble once it's here, I have such trouble letting go. Even if it's not really my thing, but a few years ago, my son purged a whole bunch of records out, I mean, like my Smiths, Ministry, stuff that I had original copies. And I'm like, I just take it, and he digs it. He enjoys it, but I can't sell anything. Even if it's something that is just irrelevant to me, I have trouble selling it. But I saw on Facebook, a friend was getting rid of a whole new wave collection. And I was coming back from, I think I was dropping my son off in college. And on the way, I had seen it, set up the appointment. Yeah, we could be there by around 2:00. And I got over the George Washington Bridge, and he messaged, ask my wife, take a look at see what it says. And he's like, oh, someone came and bought the whole thing.
That's the worst.
That was it. So it was like, new order, new wave, a lot of really stuff that I'm into, not
That's what I'm
stuff.
talking about, though. That's the part I can't do, man. Like I buy all kinds of stuff, which I don't know if we'll talk about maybe the whole world of collecting that I'm involved in. That's insane. But I get these calls and I put out ads and I have people calling me. And I went to go down to Chelsea from up here in Westchester and for like an insane vintage Star Wars collection, like crazy stuff. Stuff. I mean, I have everything, but it was like the hard to find stuff plus
Right.
like all this other crap. Guy was like, "Yeah, come on down." I got in the car. It was snowing. I'm like swerving, running like red lights, driving like an idiot. And I get to the George Washington Bridge and I get a text. And this guy says, "I'm so sorry. There was a miscommunication. My aunt sold them already." Which translation is some old slime bag weaseled his way in and said, "I got $100 more, $50 more for you, and I'll be there 15 minutes sooner."
And that was
And
it.
who can say no to that?
Right.
But you know
Right.
what? You learn in business when you upset people and they got to see you again. It's a good idea to just be cool.
Just let it go. Just let it go. Yeah. So you collect like toys. I know you collect video games. I see the Mario Donkey Kong shirt.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, let's hear it. I mean, give me the whole scope of like, there's records and then there's Star Wars and then there's video games
I was
and
going to position myself in front of some of the other things that I have, but I don't know. I spared you and all the viewers because it's just ridiculous. But that's how I got into records. Essentially, was baseball cards and Hot Wheels, and then comic books, and then I like the comics, so I bought the comic book figures, and then the figurines became Star Wars figures, and then Star Wars figures became Transformers and GI Joe, and then I started going back and buying like Micronauts and the older stuff, and it just got really out of control. And now I find out about a toy line that I kind of remembered from like 1985, and I have to have all of them. So
well,
it's
see,
not good. It's not good for your wallet, but
yeah,
it's good for your soul and nostalgia. And I don't know. It's doing something to my brain that's keeping me thinking of good things, which is kind of
well,
why I do all of it. So,
right. A recurring theme on the show is wants versus needs.
sure,
And when you're a collector, it's all needs.
totally.
It's like you need it. It's not enough just to want something. You have to go out, seek it out, get it, and own it. And if you never look at it again, it's whatever, you now own it. You have it. And intrinsically, there's something to say about that.
If I spend a lot of money on something now, I'm pretty disciplined about getting rid of something else or of equal or
Okay.
greater value, just because it's the accumulation is quick. It happens
Yeah.
quickly. I mean, I
Yeah.
just got this place in November, and I'm sitting in it looks like a warehouse here.
Well, squashed, you know, can't move. Right. I mean, Lee, one of the first interviews that we did on the show, he talked about his catch and release program, which is, he'll buy something, he'll listen to it, he'll enjoy it, and then he'll sell it. And there was one record, I think it might have been the spiritualized record. He bought and sold 6 or 7 times over, the years because it just don't need it. Now I need it again. Don't need it. Now I need it again. And that's, I'm just the opposite. I can't, finds its way in this home, it doesn't leave. It's like a roach motel. Remember those commercials for roach motels? You come in, but you can't get out. And that's what my records are. They're just roaches, I guess. I I don't know. But all right. So I want to know like the genre now. Okay. So we're talking rock. Rock is broad. I mean, are we
Sure.
talking classic rock? Are we talking metal? What's the meat and potatoes over here?
I grew up like a punk rock, indie rock kid. So I went like punk and hardcore, when I was like a teenager in the mid 90s, basically.
Those hardcore 45s now are through the roof.
I know. And I have some, and I don't know how much I care about all of them. So you're making me think, you know what I mean?
Well, just make sure you post it on the Black Gold Instagram saying,
Exactly.
hardcore, huge lot of hardcore 45s going out today.
Yeah, I'll trade you for Star Wars figures or something. Um, so it's rock from indie alternative stuff, from like anything from like Nirvana to weird psychedelic stuff like I don't know, Red Crayola, 13th Floor Elevators, and uh, big psychedelic fan. So there's a lot of that stuff. I like early 70s Italian prog and krautrock and all the buzzwordy, cool, sit back and sound like a crazy person listening to it music. So that's like most of what this is, if not all of what this is, plus a lot of stuff that's in the boxes that I'm like, this is a private press, whatever record. Or my for some reason, my heavy metal collection is across the room. It's like not with the rock stuff, which is strange. And I think it's just because I've been like focusing on it a little bit lately. And I just don't want to dig for it.
Yeah.
So I just like put it over here. And that's kind of everything that's in there. I mean, some popular rock stuff too, like whatever.
I was in the shop a couple of weeks ago. You had Dust Heart Attack right up there on the wall. I mean, if I didn't have 3 or 4 copies of it, I probably would have bought it because it was a good price. And but I mean, what an amazing record.
Yeah, I've let a few of those go in my personal collection. It's the same story. I had it. I didn't listen to it. I needed $50 years ago.
Just let it go.
Somebody said, "Hey, I'll give you $50 for that record."
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not listening to it. Well, who am I? What do I, take it's like a loan, just like a pawn. Take it. And sometimes I let people, I have friends and even customers that'll buy a record or want a record, and it's just like, all right, it's yours, but if you ever get rid of it, it has to come back to me. There's terms.
I mean, that truly is like a catch and release and then returns. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's that. I mean, that's a smart way to do it, Now, do you take stuff out of your personal collection and bring it to the shop often, or is it kind of a rarity? You sort of, dealing with more other people's collections?
I might bring a few things a month, basically, but it's generally other people's stuff because I do have a business partner who's my equal. That's Mike at the shop, and we try not to have any conflict of interest. Like, I mean, how do I like if I got the record in a collection and it's $100 and it was just like, yeah, here, take it, you can have it, and he took something else, and then I go cash it in at the shop for whatever percentage we decide is worth,
Right.
getting paid for it. It could get weird. So we try to avoid that. And we see so many records, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. He's very much, my business partner is very much, he's very about the music to the point where the price is like very low on the importance, like a priorities for him, like what it's worth, the value. It's just
Right.
like, man, like it happens to us all the time. Like, it's a $200 record. Like, what do we do now? We got to sell it for that much? Like, it's like,
Right. I mean, listen,
It's
it's on one hand, it's not a museum, it's a shop. And you put something on the wall that's really grossly overpriced. It may sit there for months.
Yeah.
Conversely, if stuff is priced to move, it's the turnover is going to be huge.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are some shops in the area where, in my opinion, the prices are high and the stuff sits. The like Academy, just the Academy price to move. You go in 2 weeks in a row, and wall items are completely different. Bins are completely different. The stuff just flies out.
Yeah, they're a good business model. They know how to move their product.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're
they're one of the biggest influences when I did the Black Gold. So
right
I was
now
like that.
now Black Gold. So, I mean, those Black Gold T-shirts,
Yeah.
like with the pyramid design, and that was that you?
No.
You're a graphic designer. You don't design your own logo.
I do.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I did brand the company, Black Gold, the logo, the whole thing. But I went to my buddy Alex, who runs a company, a design company an apparel company called Death Traders. So I just said, hey man, I like pyramids. I want the occult. I want something real kind of creepy. Um, Here's what our brand already looks like as is. What can you do? And he said, okay, man. And then like the next day I had an email. Like it's like unbelievable. I'll show you.
Yeah, I mean,
See
just
that?
look at that. That is a badass, and I don't use that language on YouTube too much. A badass shirt, and it's like the gold printing. You know, that's not yellow. That's like gold shiny print.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
great.
over the years, we've sold so many of these things. If I told you, I'm not going to tell you, but you you think I should be in like the t-shirt business. Um, there are different versions over the years that have happened, different styles of shirt, different brands, different thicknesses, different inks. And there was actually a whole run that were accidentally silver, which are funny to find and to see out there. And there was one that was like a very yellow gold versus this like kind of,
Like
I don't
bronzy
know, just more of
gold.
an authentic like metallic, you know,
Yeah.
versus like a mustardy yellow sparkly gold. But yeah, that was cool. Did
So
you happen to see the shirts we did recently, the new ones
the
that are
disco rules.
disco rock?
Oh, those are great. Do you
I
have one
got
there
one.
to
You want
show
to see it?
us?
I got one.
Yeah,
Check
the
that.
ringer shirt. Look at that. Oh, that's
Does that
so
look like
good.
you're gonna ride your BMX bike, you know, with ET or something?
That's so good.
This thing is old school, right? I'm so happy about it. I love that thing, and they're selling like crazy too, which is awesome.
You know,
We
I
did
mean,
the
listen,
pre-order, and it was crazy, and now they're in the store, and there's been a handful a day, so it's
yeah,
nice.
yeah. So people, I'm suspecting that people are collecting the variants of the shirts. You know, you got to have every single black gold variant, including the silver foil, because
I have them
that's,
all.
you know, the
Sadly, I have everything always.
as well you should. I mean, I've done, some shirts, for events that I've done over the years, and I have every one of my shirts, so I try to keep one, unworn and pristine condition, and just because that's the collector. It's like my own event. What do I care? But what you do. But one regret I had, I produced a strongman festival out of Coney Island. Oh, this is going back, made close, if not 10 years, close to 10 years. And I sold out of the original print. In the second run, the colors were off. And it just, I don't have the original print. That to this day, like 10 years later, I'm still kind of like, it gnaws at me, it chews away at the my innards. What am I going to do? But now, are you a completist, or oh, I like this record from this band, I'll have one record?
So I have rules. I have all kinds of rules.
This is
Everybody
what
has
I
their
want to hear.
rules.
This is the dirt. Let's hear it.
Ah, all right. So I don't know. My favorite band of all time is The Cure. All right. Been listening to them since the late 80s. Like, the real thing. The older kids liked them. It was cool. It was weird. I was skateboarding. I was sad and isolated. It was cool.
All right, show me,
Um,
show me, show me.
exactly. And so that went on for years into my teenage years, into the 90s, the whole thing. And it kind of was always like a little bit here and there. And then the next thing you know, I'm buying up all the records again, but I'm buying like every version, all the different pressings, different countries, different, B-sides, whatever.
So 12-inch, yeah, 12-inch LPs, the work.
45s, everything. So that when I started doing that, I did it a little bit with some other groups that I liked. Didn't get too crazy, but I would do, alphabetically. I would do chronologically by year. And then after each LP, I'd put the 12-inch single that came out chronologically
Mm-hmm.
as it was released. So, I want to go listen to the top. I go to, 1984, and I pull that thing. I pull that record out, or I can get the Bird Mad Girl 12-inch or whatever. It'd be right there, or go to 89 to see Disintegration. The whole thing. Whatever
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I would do that. But my rules would be: don't get the record if you don't like the album, just because you like the band. Because there's so many bands that have terrible albums, but they're like great bands. So you shouldn't like do that to yourself. These things are like heavy. It's not like collecting like a stamp. Like Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like
right.
something you got to move. This is something you're gonna have to do something with at some point. Um, so I try to stay away from that. That's one of my rules. I try not to collect too many versions of any record. That drives me crazy because
Hmm.
I do it and I hate that I do it. Because next thing you know, I've got, 7 copies of the same Clash record just because one of them has a different insert and the other one has you know, the logo sideways on the back or something stupid. Um,
I'm still guilty of that.
I
If
know. I
it's
mean, I still do it. I'm not lying. I'm
right,
not. I mean,
right. If it's the right price and you see it, it's almost like you have to save it from whatever, like whatever. Well, if I don't buy it, no one will, and it'll be lonely.
right.
Or or like someone else is going to get it, and I need a fifth copy of whatever album it is. It makes no sense, but I do it too.
It's like a supreme appreciation complex that you have that you can't. You think that if because you care about this thing, so it's like adopting a puppy that like looks you in the eyes,
Right.
and you're like, if I don't take this little creature into my life, someone else might and might not love him or her as much. You know?
Right. Right. But I will love it with all my heart, even though there are seven others just like it on the shelf. That's I'm glad you understand. And I think most collectors would really understand, but some people really have very, very impose strict rules upon themselves. Nope, I have it, I'm not getting it again. You know, I mean, in retrospect, I constantly refer to this on the show when I'm talking to people, speaking to people, is all the Ramon stuff that I bought 30, 25 years ago. I mean, I was buying just the same album. How many copies of Leave Home? Yes, there are a few different variants, but the original US press, or then there's the one where they took off Carbona and put Sheena.
Yeah.
And there's, probably close to 10, if not 12 Leave Homes. Eh, Why? I don't know, but these things are worth a couple of bucks now, but I can't sell them.
Yeah.
They sit on a shelf. I don't even listen to them, but
That's Ramones for you, though. That's the same sort of thing. It's like they're just solid and it's iconic. And how you gonna break up that bunch?
yeah, yeah. A friend of mine had posted a thing from a record shop upstate. I don't remember which one, and they had about 6 Ramones 45s. And he sent me the screenshot of the Instagram from the page, and I said, "Oh, that's great. I think I have about 4 of each of those." So
Wow.
I'm not running upstate, but it was certainly good. It's always good to see the stuff that you collect out there, you know.
Yeah.
And
It's
so, all
a
right, so you got any more rules here?
there's a lot, man. I mean, like I said, when I buy something and I spend money, I have to get rid of a couple of things. I try to keep everything to the shelf space. Right now, I'm failing miserably because it's always been once it's on the floor, it's on the other floor, it goes across the carpet. It just never ends, and I don't know.
Well,
I've
it's
got
it's
to
like
live like a human being here. You know what I mean?
it's like that puzzle game, where they have cars, and you have to kind of slide one car to let the other car go, and then the other car can pay. And that's basically what it's a constant shifting of each of these bins to accommodate everything new that comes in. And yeah,
And I
and
go
then you're
through. I sit here. I'll go through the collection constantly, and I'm like, I'm going to get rid of 20 records today. And I go, I can't find one I want to get rid of. There's me crazy. I'm like, but they're from my hometown, and even though I don't listen to it, the producer was kind of cool with my uncle. It's like it's like a
it,
dumb reason.
it's like almost sentimental, so I really can't
Yeah,
do it. Yeah, I know. I mean, you probably remember every shop that you bought a record at, every what would you call them, client, vendor, people who like the guy in Chinatown who sold you the Classix Nouveau. You remember everything from everywhere. It's right.
yeah. It's. I've actually have a very sharp memory. It's what kind of keeps me doing this, believe it or not. I remember memories from when I was like 2 and 3 years old, crazy stuff. I remember stuff that frightens people. I remember people's birthdays. I remember people's middle names from when we were kids. It's just I just been cataloging my whole life to make profiles for things and everybody and everything. So
Right.
it helped when I got into this that I could actually have an intelligent conversation with a potential customer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's certainly when someone's showing you a collection, you have a more than a general idea as to its value just from, from flipping through it. I mean, obviously you're going to
Totally.
look at the, at the condition that it's in and what, but for the most part, you're going to know a ballpark what each item, what each unit is worth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. This is just fascinating. It's like a fascinating, look into your mind over here and what goes on. I'll tell you, if you give me 5 minutes on a memory act, I'll put you on stage out in Coney Island. We'll have some fun. Uh, now,
I'll
any,
consider
any
it.
any new bands that you're into? Any new stuff, local stuff, or
None. Nothing.
nothing? No.
It's been, and I'll tell you why. It's been just like I said, it's been like a crazy year of survival and changes and what are we going to do? And I really have not reached out beyond the boxes that are surrounding me now.
Yeah.
There's been a few things here and there, like newer kind of electronic or pop indie stuff that's been out there, but nothing really worth mentioning. Nobody that I mean, I haven't gone to any concerts. Um, so yeah, the short answer is no. Just haven't been listening to anything new.
Yeah.
New Year's resolution was to listen to more new stuff, but what is it like
It's March.
March
We're,
already? Yeah.
we're in March. 3 months have passed and nothing new. What was the last concert you went to pre-COVID?
Ooh. Hmm. I don't know. See, I have a really great memory, and I don't know.
It was like a year ago. I mean, well, the last
Uh,
biggish show that I went to was Cheap Trick out at I guess Westbury. And then a couple of weeks before all the lockdown, Walter Lure was playing. And Bowery Electric, I went because my friend's band, the Gotham Rockets, were one of the opening acts. And I thought Walter Lure was going to go on right after them, but there was a band in between. By the time Walter Lure would have gone on, it would have been close to midnight. I was tired. I split. Never got to see Walter Lure that night, but I'd seen him a whole bunch, and he passed during COVID times. So didn't
oh, man.
didn't make it for that. That's a regret.
I have a regret from a show I was supposed to go to years ago to see. What's his name? Alex Chilton. Alex Chilton played an outdoor festival in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I had tickets. I was on and off with this girl at the time. It was a little bit rocky. I got the tickets. She decided to go see the Psychedelic Furs with her ex-boyfriend. I didn't go to the festival to see Alex Chilton, and he died.
Yep.
So I never got to see him. So I
Doesn't
don't know
that
what would
suck?
happen if I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that happens. All I mean,
I mean,
it's life. It's
I mean,
weird.
you can't really regret it, but you feel bad about it. I mean, hey, you want to see it, and as luck would have it, or bad luck would have it, you couldn't go. Well,
Well, my buddy always tells me he's got this guilt. He says that every time he doesn't go to a restaurant, they go out of business. So this is before COVID and everything. So he's like, I just started. If I see a restaurant that even interests me the slightest bit, I go, and they
right,
stay open. And he says that I don't have this guilt anymore.
right.
So
He is like the killer of restaurants. You don't go, we shut down. Now record store day. Do you guys at Black Gold deal with that or?
sometimes, I mean, I don't even know when it is anymore. There's like four of them or something, isn't
Well,
there?
now I think there's a date I think it's one in June, one in July, if I'm not mistaken. I think.
Really? Because I thought there was one on Black Friday, and then there was one on
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, right.
April, the
So
second weekend of April or third
it's
weekend of April or something.
normally April, and then
Yeah.
because of COVID, they pushed it off and scattered it to what was it, 3 or 4 dates almost throughout the summer. But then for this year, I think they're
Mhm.
doing 2 drops. I think it's July and or June and July, if I'm not mistaken. But they haven't announced their list of as of this recording. They may, it may come out in the next week or so before we air this. But as of when we're talking now, I don't think they've announced the selections. But I mean, so
Well,
it's
I was a big hater of it years ago,
what was that?
and I was a big hater of it years ago, and I was running some columns for music, and I wrote about it, and I actually got the attention of one of the founders who came to see me at the shop and be like, "Yo, what's up?" Very nice guy, and it was cool. And I mean, it was like a tongue-in-cheek article, but it was basically me being like, I kind of got into this business not to be that business. I don't want to. I've seen all the other collectible worlds go, down the tubes when you start to put the word collector's item on the object. As soon as it's made to be collectible is when everything ends.
Right.
So I've been a little resistant to it, although I don't hate it. Anything that keeps records popular and people happy, especially now, is fine with me. I used to get mad if I saw Coca-Cola commercial or something spinning a record. Now I'm like, great. Maybe that person will say, "Oh, Black Gold's down the street, and we have those records, and it's kind of getting warm out.
That's
Bring
it.
a box down to see Jeffy." You know what I mean?
Now, right now, I mean, when you started Black Gold 11 years ago, was the vinyl revolution as big as it is now. 11 years ago, it was still sort of floundering.
No, here's the thing. So my buddy Mike and did have another shop in New Jersey. I mentioned earlier, and we wanted to reinvent the store that sold vinyl and CDs and shirts and everything else. But we were like, let's go vinyl heavy. Everybody's like, "Ah, you're crazy." Like, no, it's coming. So I was talking about this years before it happened. And then when I opened the Black Gold in Brooklyn, people were like, "Kid's crazy." You're going to fall on your face. It was just like, okay, man, we'll see what happens. So there were a lot of haters
Right.
and a lot of people that said it was this dumb, trendy, you know, idea that was going to end. But they said that about hip hop, and they said that about, I don't know,
Computers.
whatever.
It's
They
a
said that
fad.
about Zoom.
It'll never catch on. Right. And look at where we are now with Zoom. I mean, right. I mean, that's the thing. 10 years ago, vinyl was pretty much in a grave, but within the last I'm pretty sure it's about at least a year, if not two, vinyl outsold CDs, certainly, and might have outsold MP3s as well. So it's really seems to be on an upward trajectory.
That's
um
cool.
do you CDs, you collect CDs at all?
I don't. I don't dislike them. I used to have. I still have everything I ever had,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I used to listen to them, and I have a few thousand of them.
Yeah. I mean, I find CDs I had no problem bringing into a shop and, trading in for, credit, but records, I can't do that. And I mean, over the last, well, certainly during COVID, but even leading up maybe 6 months prior to COVID, I really haven't purged the CD collection. I think whatever is remaining in this house is just going to remain because I think there's going to be an uptick. I think that the nostalgia craze is sort of going to go a little nuts again, and people, those 90s kids are going to say, "I want those CDs." The same way cassettes are back.
It's coming. I know you're not the only person that's talking about this. My buddy from high school hit me up like last weekend and told me that he wanted me to put a bunch of CDs aside for him, so I did. Because I just have stuff.
Right.
He thinks the same thing. He thinks that's coming, and I think a lot of things are coming. I think you should buy as much stock as you can in like amusement parks and any of the places that have survived this thing already. When people get out and go crazy, they're going to go crazy. My wife is in fashion, and they're already talking about what's going to happen with this big embellishment boom, where people are going to be coloring their hair funny again and be wearing all kinds of patches and stuff and cutting their pants up and saying, "Look at me," because they've been inside so long and nobody's been able to see them except on the computer.
That's
I
interesting.
think we're going to do something.
I
I
mean,
mean, you know,
I'll throw out a plug here. I mean, my personal privilege here. April 9th, Coney Island is reopening. For anyone in New York, the amusements are reopening after over a year of being shut. So they were not allowed to open during COVID. You got Wonder Wheel and Wonder Wheel Park, Luna Park, and they're scheduled for opening. Obviously, it's going to be done safely and socially distant and whatnot. But you might actually see yours truly out in Luna Park swallowing some swords. So, but that's for another show, maybe. So anyway, I I'm allowed to throw those in every so often. I don't do plug. I guess speaking of plugs, now watch this seamless transition. Hey, if you like what you're watching, make sure you subscribe and like and leave comments so that the algorithms can pick us up and more people who are into collecting records can watch the show. How was that? That wasn't bad, right?
that's good. It's like you've done this before.
I mean, this is episode 8, so it's a slow build. It's a slow build, but what I notice is that I'll put the episode up. It goes up every Monday, and then the older episodes increase the viewership. So I think we're certainly moving in the right direction. I mean, I'm not a an influencer yet, but maybe I will be. I don't know.
Try to get you some. I'll try to get you some love from my end of things.
All right, can you be an influencer with like a gray beard? I don't know. I'm not sure how this
I
works. I
don't
think
know.
I
I'm
think
gonna
you got to be
I'm
probably like
joining you soon enough.
25 years younger than what I am, and kind of be experiencing records for the first time, maybe not. But whatever. That's another story. All right, so let's see. Let's start wrapping things up here. I asked this question to everybody. And what advice do you have to collectors? And in your case, it doesn't have to be record collectors. Could be collectible toys or a video game, whatever it is to a collector. What advice do you have?
Wait for it to come to you. Go out there. Put a little bit of effort into it. Don't hurt yourself. Don't get jealous. Don't get worried. Don't feel like you need anything, because just be lucky you're alive and surviving this thing. Toys are toys. They ain't coming with you. Just have fun and share. It's more
Ooh.
fun with other people. Everything is.
Wow. All right. That's golden advice right there. I mean, most people will say, just buy what you like. You're really digging deep in that. Thank you. Wow. So
That
anything
was
else
off
that
the
you
top
want to
of my head.
share with us? What was that?
That
I,
was off the top of my head too.
and that was like scripted. That was totally scripted. Anything else that you want to share with us, that you want to talk about? Anything that I might have missed? We
Well, I mean,
I send out that whole list of things, and I don't know if we get to like 2 of them.
whatever. I think this has been a good time. If there's anything else that you want to ask me, or anything else you were wondering, or whatever, I mean, I'm here. Other, otherwise,
I
I,
think we're good. I mean, I think we covered everything. I was excited about the coffee. We talked about that. That's good news. And again, friends, if you're into coffee and you're into records and you're in Brooklyn, you want to check out Black Gold on Court Street in Carroll Gardens. Wow, beautiful Carroll. It's quite the area there. I mean, those streets are like this big. You know, it's
I live right by that little tiny street too. Yeah, there's a real tiny street over there.
there's right around the corner from the shop.
Yeah, that's where I live.
Down in that little tiny street with the little doors.
I look down on that street from my apartment. It's right there. And then Mike,
Okay,
my business partner, is on the other side of the street. So we always make a joke that we're going to get some tin cans, so we can
right.
just like
Talk.
Roger, Roger.
Hey, make sure you get the milk today. Uh, I no,
You have no idea.
it's a historic, it's a nice neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood, actually. Old neighborhood, one of
Rich.
the old, probably one of the oldest in Brooklyn. I would guess. You know, I don't know that they certainly. I think Brooklyn for the most part. I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a Brooklyn historian. Started in that close to that area, and then expanded out. So that's one reason why the streets are really so thin. You know, but all right. Wow. That said, Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. This is a great chat. I learned a lot and thoroughly enjoyed everything about it. And I will make my pitch one more time. So, friends, if you're in Brooklyn, Black Gold on Court Street, check it out. They've got great shirts, Disco Rocks. Where's that Disco Rocks shirt? We got to see that one more time. You still have it?
Oh yeah. You can. Whoops. You could even, if you're feeling crazy, we are at blackoldbrooklyn.com, and we ship all this stuff right to your door.
You even ship coffee.
We even ship coffee to more people than you'd believe who love it.
It's great coffee. It's great coffee. That's why. Thanks. So, and we're going to put all of Black Gold's links on the in the discussion or in the description. I need to get my YouTube verbiage correct in the description. So the description will have all of the Black Gold links, the Instagram and the shop, and where you can buy all that cool stuff and delicious coffee. And that said, one more time, if you like the show, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you like us and comment, and I hope you enjoy it. Friends, thank you so much. Jeff, thank you. I point here because on my screen, you're on this side, but I think in real life, you're probably on the other side. I don't know how this Zoom mirroring works, and I need to break the habit of pointing where I actually see you. Maybe I just shouldn't point. I'm just going to sit on my hands. Jeff, thank you so very much. This is a great chat. I'll stop the recording and then we'll hang out for a couple of minutes. And
thanks, Adam, man. It's been fun.
Right on. Thank you. And we are done.